The closer you get to him, the more you understand him. I wanted the film to feel like Grace felt. Like I didn't want it to be a biopic or just like an informational hour and a half. I wanted it to feel like an experience, like you are going to get as close as you can to Jeff. So it's like you're taking a journey with him.
You may not be familiar with Jeff Buckley's name, but you almost certainly have heard his haunting cover of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, a song which was named to the Rolling Stones list of 500 greatest songs of all time and has been inducted into the Library of Congress's National Recording Registry. In this episode of Inside the Arthouse, we sit down with Oscar-nominated filmmaker Amy Berg to discuss her new documentary, It's Never Over, Jeff Buckley. Tragically, Buckley drowned while swimming in the Wolf River in Memphis just as he was about to start work on a new album. But his stature as a singer and songwriter has only grown in the years since his early death at the age of 31. Acclaimed by musicians like Bob Dylan, David Bowie, and Jimmy Page, Jeff Buckley's life and legacy is being given a thoughtful and thorough review in this new documentary, which includes a treasure trove of archival material, candid interviews with Buckley's family and friends, lovers, and collaborators. We emerge from the film with a greater understanding of the forces that shaped his artistic vision and an appreciation for all that he accomplished in his short life. Join us for our conversation with filmmaker Amy Berg on Inside the Arthouse, starting now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Greg Lumley.
And I'm Raphael Sbarge.
And welcome to today's episode of Inside the Arthouse. We are joined today by Oscar-nominated filmmaker Amy Berg. She's here to talk about her new film, It's Never Over, Jeff Buckley. Thank you for joining us, Amy.
Hi, guys. Hi, thanks for having me.
Amy, I love this movie, and I didn't know all the details of Jeff Buckley's life and or, some of his journey. I wonder if you could talk about like what that particular moment or song was. I mean, that really kind of crystallized you wanting to tell the story, and what drew you to it?
Well, it wasn't a song particularly. It was more Jeff Buckley, for me, was the answer to a really noisy period in music in the 90s. Everything was so aggressive and grungy and punk. And like, I was really in the music scene. I loved going to see live music. And I'm growing up in Los Angeles. I used to go to all the kind of local clubs. It was so masculine and aggressive. And then suddenly I heard Grace, and it was like, it gave me an excuse to right before all that music, there was all that like hair metal love songs. And like Jeff kind of was like, and it was like a moment to like just chill out and enjoy listening to his music and crying with him and laughing with him. And it was just like, it represented so many things. The more I got to know about Jeff, the more intricate and interesting his story became to me. So I really, really, ever since I made Deliver Us from Evil, I've been trying to make this movie. It's like my entire career. So that's kind of it.
But originally not as a documentary.
I wanted to make it as a documentary. There was a scripted film that was going around at the time, but for me, it was always a documentary. Like it's hard to replace Jeff, and I'm sure somebody will. Hopefully, someone like Timothée Chalamet. But like after seeing A Complete Unknown, like I'm like, okay, maybe someone can do it. But it's for me, like the archive was so beautiful that it had to be a documentary.
And I guess, was it Brad Pitt originally had sort of approached his mother about wanting to do that as a scripted film, I guess, and that didn't happen, but now he's an executive producer on this film with you.
Yes, I gave Brad a credit because he actually restored the archive and paid for everything to get digitized. So he didn't really work on this film, but out of respect to him and the amazing material that was saved, that was, seemed like a nice thing to do. So. But I haven't met him. I know he's seen the movie, but I haven't met him.
The amount of archival material is amazing and so varied as well, from notebooks to phone messages, recordings, and things like that. Wow, it's fabulous. When did you become aware of how much stuff there was?
Well, I mean, the the voice messages were what really spoke to me, but Jeff was really, he documented himself. He always carried a journal around. He had a DAT player that he would record conversations and, songs and demos on. So I just...
What a dream to have a sort of a subject to document himself as he was going. It was just
analog. It was all analog.
Oh my God.
So it was very 90s. So yeah, so I just kind of embraced all of that. It was really cool.
Was there something in the archive that affected you, that surprised you, that maybe shifted your thinking of it? Because there's so much and it's so deep, but was there something particularly that kind of affected you and gave you sort of a point of focus?
I mean, I don't want to give any spoilers, but for sure the answering machine message, like that was it. Like ever since I heard that, I was like, I'm making this film. There was even a moment I was in Paris like 10 years ago, and a friend of mine introduced me to someone, and they had heard there was a documentary being made about him. And I remember getting so upset and writing Mary a letter at the time, but that turned out not to be true. But it was that voicemail message to me was like so important to share. And there were multiple messages to his mother. And it was great that she was able to save those.
What was it like working with her on this and getting her input?
She was involved in, we made a deal for the rights of the film and then some interviews, but she let me make the movie and she watched it when I was finished. She was very supportive. I mean, she really wanted me to find his voice and my voice in that process, and just gave me a lot of support in that way to just like do what I wanted to do. And it was really great. She didn't have any editorial, and she didn't even actually give me any notes. So it was kind of amazing working with her.
Well, because that could have been a complicated dynamic there. Yeah.
It was a complicated dynamic. That was what was, I think she liked that it was complicated. Their dynamic was complicated too. So
you worked on this for 5 years?
In production, 5 years. But it was 10 years before that I was knocking on her door.
Yeah.
Literally sometimes, and then over email other times. So yeah.
What is there is so layered, and it's so rich, and it's so clearly what happens when you have 5 years to work on a film. The animation is particularly beautiful. When did you bring the animation into the process? I mean, did you have the full cut and then brought it in, or was it did it happen as you were going? How did you weave that in?
Okay, well, Sara, Gunnar's daughter, she's Icelandic. She animated Diary of a Teenage Girl, and I saw her work many years ago. And we worked together on the case against Adnan Syed, which is the series I did for HBO. So we met right when I got the rights. We were dreaming it up together, and it was probably frustrating for her because, the cut was definitely nowhere near locked many times when I was trying to get drawings done. But yeah, we collaborated throughout. And she brought a team on, and it was really a great experience. She brings everything to life. She has such a sensitive touch and such a great aesthetic. So yeah, it was a wonderful experience.
There are three women that really sort of define him, and they really share their experiences and their heartbreak and their complexities and their love of him is I'm not sure where in the process in the years of you working on this where you did those interviews, but when you did them, was there something that they revealed that surprised you, I guess, that you didn't see coming?
Well, everything about it. I think Rebecca has never spoken about this publicly, so it was very important for me to include her, and that included, just making her comfortable enough to talk. And then she started to look through her, her attic and found some tapes and letters. And it was beautiful. The process was beautiful. And I mean, you could make a movie about Jeff's love story with any one of these women, and it would be equally incredible. So for me, it was a lot of, hard questions, a lot of, killing your demons. You know what I mean? Killing your darlings. Yeah, there was a lot of killing your darlings in this editing process because there was so much good material, and everyone had such a really beautiful love story with Jeff, and I just wanted to capture it as best as I could.
Was his mom one of your first interviews? Did you start there? Yeah.
Yeah, it had to start with her. I mean, the beginning of the film is very honest in terms of like where we started. It's a journey. So yeah, I wanted to catch everyone where they were when we first started speaking and get a sense of why they were here. And he was a feminist, so I wanted to make sure that we saw like the women that influenced him. Getting the rights to this film during the first Trump administration, when like the Women's March was very vocal, and it was like the language in my world seemed to reflect what Jeff was saying in the 90s. I know that sounds crazy, but he was like speaking in a way that we were just learning how to speak. In 2019, he was speaking like that. In the 90s, he revered women, and he had such an incredible amount of like respect and ability to like go there and talk about it. And that was not common in the 90s. It was still a very misogynistic world, and especially in the music business. So he was able to kind of cut through that. In the 90s, it was always like, oh, my girlfriend's making me go see Jeff Buckley, or like there was always like this thing about like how it's so not cool for a guy to love Jeff Buckley. But then like the floodgates opened and all these bands came out, that were very much inspired by him, including Radiohead, Do
you think that that's what you attached to when you heard him, and or what you responded to?
Yes. I mean, I think there's no music fan from that era that was female and like early 20s that didn't feel that thing. It was like there was a shift that went from like the super misogynistic metal scene, like Pay to Play, Sunset Strip, and like very much like it, there was a bit of glam in that movement, but it was very much male oriented. And then suddenly there's like this really aggressive punk scene. So you had to like be a dude almost to hang out with the guys in that scene. And then Jeff came out, and it was like he like gave a pass to women. To just, it's okay to like love. It's okay to like feel that feeling that you feel when you hear his music, or, David Gray's music, or Damien Rice, or Radiohead, or any of those singers that can like articulate things about love on a very deep level. It's beautiful. And it wasn't the mainstream at the time.
And for his mother to say, "No one loved me like Jeff did," that also knocked me out.
That's heavy,
that was really something.
There are things here that, I'm just thinking specifically about the scene where she's talking about getting caught smoking pot outside of the concert. I'm not sure that that's good parental behavior. I mean, I don't have a problem with smoking pot, but, just her whole attitude towards it of being almost more childish. How difficult was that for him, this sense that his mother was behaving more childishly, and then for her to talk about that?
At certain points, I'm sure he was, kind of like pinching himself. But he had great respect for his mother, as you see. So, I mean, I think that it was hit and miss. And obviously he hits a tipping point, as we see in the film. But I think it was very difficult.
But for your relationship with her, I mean, not only is she, someone you're interviewing for the film, she's the executive producer.
But she says it. She's not that embarrassed. She says it. This is something that she gave to all of us, and no one can take that away from her. She gave Jeff Buckley to the world. So I think like she's proud of being his mom. She's very honest.
If she had been a different mom, he would have been a different kid.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So he figured it out. She figured it out, and I think that it all worked, and that's why this is the time also, it was over 15 years. She was much younger back then, and now she's like ready to make sure that his legacy is handled, properly.
The title also is, obviously it's a lyric from the song, but it also feels really layered, I guess.
Okay, so there are a lot of different things that it means, but basically it was a long process, so it's never over. We kind of joked around about that in a way, but I wanted it to be like...
You've been working on it for so long, right?
Because I didn't ever want to let the edit shut down. I could still be editing right now. I loved like finding more out, and it takes, when things percolate, they become better. It's just like that's how it works. But also, like, I wanted to be like speaking to Jeff. So when it's like it's never over, Jeff Buckley. Like we're speaking to you and saying we're not going anywhere. It's never going to end. And obviously the lyric from the song. But yes. Those are the three like main meanings of the title. It was really hard to title this film. I mean, that was another like kind of joke about it, because we just could never agree on what the title needed to be. So
the film feels so iconic, quintessential, sort of it so captures him. I knew a little bit about him. I certainly I always loved his rendition of Hallelujah. I love that breath that he takes before he starts singing, and where he's singing from. You also obviously have this huge fan base of his who clearly have opinions and feelings about what they want in it. And I'm sure you're aware of that, but you also clearly wanted to tell something that was personal. I guess, how have you navigated that?
Yeah, I mean, the closer you get to him, the more you understand him. So I always just said, like, the story will find itself, and we just had to keep, like, peeling the layers out. And the more intimate it was, the more I think the fans that you refer to are kind of like new fans. We're talking about like the hundreds of millions of people that are following him today, which is way bigger than anything he ever would have experienced in the 90s. But I think I don't want this to sound flippant or anything, but I wanted the film to feel like Grace felt. So I wanted to take the time that it would take to get the emotion in it. And that's my process, is it takes me a while to like really feel it and find it. And so I wanted this to feel like that. Like, I didn't want it to be a biopic or just like an informational hour and a half. I wanted it to feel like an experience. And we talk about experience films in a different way generally today, in terms of like immersive and IMAX and like, all these huge budget films. But this is an experience in a different way, where it's like you are going to get as close as you can to Jeff, and you're going to stay with him for an hour and 46 minutes. And so it's like you're taking a journey with him.
When then did you know you were done? When did you get to the...
Like I said, I didn't. I literally have some ideas. So don't...
When Sundance said, yes, we're going to play the film.
You pulled it out of your hands. Right, yeah.
It's funny. Sundance was sniffing around about this film a year before. And the producers were like, let's just send it and see what happens. I'm like, no, we can't. So then I was like, we'll be totally done by next year. And then like the deadline was coming up, and I was like, oh my God, here we are a year later. So yes, but it was ready. It is ready. I am very proud of the film. Yes, I feel like it feels complete, for sure.
For the people that don't know Jeff Buckley, I mean, or maybe are not as familiar, similar to me, as to some of the details, what do you hope that they get to walk away after watching this film?
Well, that's kind of the ideal fan. I did this for the fans, but also for like the people who will become fans. The ideal situation that we can hope for is that you will go and listen to Grace when you get home, and go listen to everything you can find online. I mean, I think it makes you do a deep dive, and that's kind of the goal. But like, there's something for everybody in this film, for sure.
Right. Well, it's a portrait of an artist. And
it makes you want to do art. That's a friend of mine saw it at Sundance, and she called me. She's like, oh my God, I need to go do something creative right now, which is kind of great,
I guess I have to ask you, is there something you would want to say to him if you could talk to him?
I guess I would want his approval on the movie. I would want him to watch the film and tell me what, if I got it right.
He's a songwriter. I think first and foremost, obviously, an amazing vocal stylist and musician, but I think that was maybe what was most important to him. And yet during his life, and we don't know what might have happened, but during his life, his greatest success was recording someone else's song. And it's an amazing rendition, and you can argue that by covering a song, you make it your own in many respects. And
right.
We have a whole documentary about the song Hallelujah, not just about the writing of the song, but the different people who have covered the song.
Yeah.
But what was that for him, to have that success on something that was not his song?
Yeah, I think that it made his inner critic even harsher, because the people that he covered and the people that he revered were on such a pedestal that he then had to like do something that he thought was worthy of those kinds of songs. And I think that's what he achieved with Grace.
I love the story that he did the Edith Piaf songs, and that the French government essentially gave him, an honorary award and a I don't know I don't remember the award names, but they're essentially excellence as an artist, and of course the fact that he would embrace their national treasure. It's such a cool thing.
That he's covering Nusrat Ali Khan as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Crazy.
I've been actually hearing from a lot of Pakistanis online that are like excited to see the film and know if that's in the film. So that's very cool. But I think like my biggest regret, if you asked me that question, was that the show at La Olympia that you're referring to, when he did the Edith Piaf covers, was recorded on audio but not on video. And that was like the one thing I was always hoping would show up, but it didn't. Maybe it will after the movie comes out.
Yeah, there's got to be, something out there. Let's
For
hope.
Sure. I already got a call this weekend about something that was uncovered recently. So
what's the trajectory for the film? You're opening in theaters, and then it has an HBO life after that. Is that right?
At the end of the year, yeah. But we want to get as many people into the theaters as possible.
This is for sure a movie to see in theaters. Again, as you say, because of the music and because of the experience and the visceral nature of it, and again the landscape that you've sort of painted, and again the animation and the intimacy of his voice. Again, in a crowd of people is really the place to see this for sure.
Totally.
There's no question.
Totally. So.
Where can people get information about where the film's playing? I know it's going to be released by Magnolia Pictures, so I'm sure their website will have that. But do you have any Instagram or Facebook contacts?
All the information will be on our Instagram. It's called It's Never Over Movie, and that's on Instagram. And we'll just keep updating that, and Magnolia Pictures, obviously. Yeah. So.
And you'll be going. Will you be appearing at any theaters for Q&A?
Yeah, I'm coming to the New Art.
When are you opening in New York?
Angelica on the 7th.
The other thing about the film, it's a film about, there is a level where it's a film about coming to terms with a parent.
Bring your mom. Bring your mom to the film. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously there's Jeff's relationship with his mom, but there's his relationship with his father, the absent father, not only absent father when he was growing up, but then who died young, and yet pursuing the same career. I guess maybe that speaks a lot to me, having followed in a family business. But for Jeff, his relationship with his father and his father's legacy. Of course.
Yeah, it was one of the most important parts of the story, was that Jeff was trying to figure out who he was, and then he was being titled as Tim Buckley's son, but he only met him once. And to be born into a voice and a skill and talent and genius the way he was, and then have to name it with somebody else who he didn't know, is really difficult. So that was really a challenge for Jeff throughout his entire life.
Yeah, and clearly drove him artistically, and was part of his demons, and part of what was part of what gave him a lot of grist for the mill, as it were.
Well, and the other gifts that we get from our parents in many cases, and especially some of us from Eastern European Jewish backgrounds, is a family traditions of mental instability and challenges.
There's a lot to it. Layers, but there's something for everyone to relate to in the movies.
Yeah, I think that's, I want to really make that point. I mean, I'm familiar with Jeff Buckley because of Hallelujah. I did not know Grace. It's not that I don't want to go out and search the music or that's what, comes from the film, but I think there's just, again, there's something for everybody here in terms of, how do we confront the legacies that were handed and come to terms with that, for ourselves.
Well, Amy, thank you for taking this time. Thanks for, what a great moment after all this time to be able to kind of finally be, watching the bird take flight. And it's really extraordinary movie. And I'm so excited for everyone to have an experience of seeing this in theaters.
Thank you. Thanks for having me and for booking it. And yes, I look forward to seeing how it does in your theaters.
It's our pleasure. I look forward to seeing how it does in our theaters, but also just theaters throughout the country.
Yeah.
Yes, obviously we feel people in Los Angeles, you're going to be very lucky to have lots of locations where you can see this film when it comes out, but it is going to be playing in theaters around the country and for a long period of time too, I think, because we have a nice window before it appears on HBO. So there's going to be an opportunity there. As college students are coming back to school in September and things like that, this is a perfect film to be looking for at your college art house or on campus or all kinds of things. So the film, again, it's Never Over, Jeff Buckley. It's going to be opening starting August 8th in movie theaters around the country, coming to you from Magnolia Pictures and directed by Amy Berg. Amy, thank you very much for joining us here on Inside the Arthouse.
Thanks, guys. I
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Our show was produced by Raphael Sbarge with on-site producer Norrin Dickerson. Supervising producers are Thomas Cassetta and Miles McCreary. Our show was edited by Gabriel Emley and sound mixed by Thomas Cassetta. Our musical theme was composed by Isabel Engman and Gerardo Garcia Jr. Marketing by Gabriel Emley. Show graphics by Jenna DeAngelis. Additional marketing and web design by Stephanie Peters. Filmed at the historic Laemmle Royal Theater in Los Angeles, California. See you next time on Inside the Arthouse. If you like today's show, please consider subscribing to our channel to learn more on Inside the Arthouse.